Matthew Judon meeting with the media right now down below, so we'll keep you updated as things continue to trickle out so far. Alex Barth down there for us for 98.5 says that Judon mentioned why he was taking part in practice today. Quote, "I haven't played football in so long. It was important just for me to get out there with the guys." So we'll see what else comes out and if he mentions the contract at all here moving forward.
I think that's good. I think that helps. I mean, it's a weird situation to begin with. Like, team's not great. You need him. He's not in your long-range plans, but you're under the cap. You got a lot of money. I'd say it's a more precarious type position down in Miami, where Tua actually practiced today, and he wants a new contract, doesn't have the new deal done. How do they let that thing slide to this point? And everything's predicated on their quarterback and their timing and their offense and getting it to those receivers.
Because he sucks.
Do they just? Yeah, I'm Mark. I'm with you. I asked this: Can they do what they're doing with Mike White? Can they do what they're doing with Mac Jones?
Yeah.
A good Mac Jones, a Mac Jones of right mind.
Right.
Meaning, can he distribute the ball in quick spaces and get the ball out? I think he can. He did it in Alabama with that skill set. Hi, Phil Perry. How you doing?
Hi, Zoe.
Sorry, it was
Great to see you, buddy.
Breaking it down, bud.
Great to see all you guys. How you doing? Everybody good?
Yeah, I think everybody's good.
Have a good time up here today?
Oh, yeah.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. First impressions, Phil?
It's nice to get out here, right? Well, first impressions for me always start with the quarterback. And let's talk both quarterbacks. I thought it was interesting that when you look at it, end of the day, in terms of volume of reps, Drake Maye and Jacoby Brissett got basically the same number of plays. Now, Jacoby Brissett, clearly the starter, as Gerard Mayo talked about yesterday in our press conference with him. He went with that first group offensive line. I don't even think they have a first group of receivers, quite frankly, right now, so I'm not even really gauging it based on who they're throwing the football to. It's who's blocking for these guys. So Jacoby Brissett got the bulk of I would say he got the entirety, really, of the reps with the quote-unquote ones. But he was on the same field as Drake Maye. They split things in half early in practice, and it was Joe Milton and Bailey Zappi on one field, and it was Brissett and Maye on the other, with Gerard Mayo planted right behind those guys and watching very closely. So no Zappi cutting into the number 2 reps, in the summer, as we saw in the spring at times, and both those guys getting a lot of work. And I think that's important. If Drake Maye's really going to have an opportunity to compete for a job here, he has to get the snaps. And today he got a fair number of snaps, and you can talk about the numbers if you want. I don't know if you guys care about the numbers. I had Brissett 10 for 13 with a pick. Maye was 6 for 10 with a fumbled snap. Got a little dicey out there. To me, it looked like, I don't know if you guys could see it from up here, but got a little dicey when the rain started to come down a little bit. You saw the fumbled snap. You saw Drake Maye basically, turf one about 5 feet in front of Kayshon Boutte on a route over the middle. So I'm wondering if the ball's slipping out of his hand a little bit there late in practice. But
the Brissett pick was bad. Like, that was that deep roll right, throw back left late, big wide. That's the thing, man. It's like, I remember from his rookie year, that big, long, wide base, long wind up where guys can jump. That's what we did in Cleveland when we played him.
Yeah, and I think
Duggar pick.
I think if the offensive line struggles, right, there's going to be one guy whose physical skill set lends itself to greater success with a shaky offensive line than the other. And to me, it's Drake Maye.
Yeah.
Because he has the ability to make a guy miss. He has the ability to throw off platform and throw accurately. And I thought maybe his best throw of the day, a lot of people talk about the Rager throw. I thought it was an excellent throw. Yeah. Even better catch. One-handed catch to Jalen Rager. He had a pretty good throw right after that to Jalen Polk down the left sideline. Hit Polk in the hands.
Right in the hands.
Wasn't able to. Would have been a great catch. Was sort of lunging for it, falling. Would have been a great catch, but that one doesn't get completed. There was another keeper play. So we're going to have to get used to the terminology here. You're going to hear these guys use the word keeper quite a bit. That's that play action, roll out from under center, bootleg, deep. I think is how most people consider it. Yep, deep. Back behind the line of scrimmage, he rolls to his right, stops on a dime because there's a defender who's sort of starting to approach him. This is Drake Maye I'm talking about now. And then is able to really get rid of it very quickly, almost in a sidearm sort of fashion to Juju Smith-Schuster. Got the crowd going over here, but that was another one. The legs, the feet weren't really set underneath him, but you could see the arm strength. You can see the ability to just let that thing go from any arm angle. And those are the types of plays that we're going to see one or two of just about every single day, is my expectation from him. And the question is, do you buy into those flashes if you're the coaching staff and give him more, or do you just want to see the mundane done correctly over and over and over again, so you're not fumbling a snap, so you're not skipping it to an open Kayshon Boutte over the middle, so that you feel more comfortable giving him an opportunity to actually compete for the job.
I would say they went mundane, and then eventually you're going to start releasing it more. You mentioned Juju. How's he make this club?
It's going to be tough, I think, for him,
Yeah.
quite frankly. He's a receiver who you would expect to be sort of down the depth chart who doesn't play any special teams, and he's not explosive. You're not seeing much of the quick twitch stuff. I'm actually interested to see somebody like that, and I noticed this over the spring with Juju Smith-Schuster, who's dealt with knee issues, obviously. It's not how does he look on day one. How does he look on day 2, day 3? How does the knee respond? Because there were days in the spring where he would practice and we would see him a couple days later and he looked really limited. And you wondered if just whatever he put on that knee in terms of stress a couple of days before was still having an impact on him. So let's see what he looks like tomorrow. But he was out there and participating. Talk about participation. That's the other storyline for me today. Judon, Godshaw looked like full participants.
Yep.
From my vantage point.
Surprised
I don't know
by that?
how much you guys watched of those two. A little bit. Because if you're a veteran and you don't have any guaranteed money coming to you until those base salaries become guaranteed week 1 of the regular season, you're taking a risk by being out here. You get injured, you pop an Achilles, you pop an ACL, like, that's it.
Yeah.
You've got nothing coming to you for this year. So Judon, it doesn't surprise me as much because he's been so vocal about how he didn't want to do what he did last year.
Still talking down there.
He's meeting with the media right now. You guys mentioned it already, but he feels it's important. He needs to get out there because it's been so long since he's played. Godshaw, I thought, might handle it a little bit differently, but he's out there. First rep of 11-on-11s. Both those guys are right on the line of scrimmage, and there's a little bit of contact. There's no pads, but you're jostling with each other there. And so that did surprise me a little bit that they participated as much as they did.
I have a question for you, Phil.
What do you got, Mark?
We heard Gerard Mayo yesterday talking about competition. It's the word of the day, word of the summer. And I'm just curious because he made it sound like Drake May was going to have a legitimate chance to win the job. First of all, do you believe him, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
So if that's the case, is it a disaster? And maybe that's too strong. I'm not going to say it's too strong. Is it a disaster if he doesn't win the job based on the expectations and everything that goes into becoming the starting quarterback?
No, because I think that means that Jacoby Brissett looks competent himself.
Okay.
Right? So just because Drake May doesn't necessarily beat out Jacoby Brissett through a month's worth of work, where May is going to be working with the backups, it looks like primarily, that would not be cause for alarm for me. If Brissett looks bad and he still doesn't win the job, then that's where you could say, oh boy, they really don't trust him.
Okay.
Because he is the number 3 overall pick. Right. Those guys do, generally speaking, play pretty early. And I think he really wants to, and he should, Gerard Mayo, he wants to have some semblance of early success this season for belief, for buy-in, to maintain some sort of energy as you're trying to establish a culture and establish a program. And so I like what he said yesterday in the press conference. If it's just a straight-up competition between those two guys, don't worry about the offensive line. Don't worry about what the receiver room looks like. If there's a quarterback between those two that gives them the best chance to have success on the field starting week 1, that's the guy who should play. I think it's necessary for them to try to establish some level, some semblance of success early this season. And if May is the guy to do that for you, then get him out there.
I wasn't trying to over-dramatize it, but I'm just thinking, we're looking at Brissett. We know his track record, solid-ish, the long release, what Zoe was saying. I just, your number 3 overall pick, you got all this hype, you got all this physical ability, you got time, you've had time. If you can't win the job based on what Mayo said, I'm just concerned that could signify a bit of a problem.
Well, he's going to be better than Jacoby Brissett physically. Like I think today, he already showed that he's a better quarterback physically than Jacoby Brissett. But it gets back to what I'm talking about when I mentioned the mundane. Mm-hmm. Are you hitting every check down that you should be hitting? Right. Are your eyes always in the right place when you hit the top of your drop on your back foot? Because they are very into that sort of thing. When I say they, Alex Van Pelt, Ben McAdoo, they believe in this stuff. These West Coast guys, they want the granular details of the offense to be on point. And so you can make that rollout throw off a 1 foot, one-handed catch down the sideline and have it look beautiful. But if you're skipping passes to open receivers and you're missing your checkdowns and you're patting the ball and then you're taking off with your legs, when that's not what the play is calling for, then they're going to want to pull back on you. And so that's going to be what he has to wrestle with this entire summer.
That's everything you talk about. Like, that's what makes Brock Purdy special. Like, the ability to go out and do what we want you to do and make the right decision every time. I think it's the whole process, too. And I was talking about this with Mark and McCone. that it's the whole functionality of getting in and out of the huddle. Like, he hasn't called plays, and it's dealing with the play clock, dealing with noise, dealing with substitutions, dealing with, defensive substitute. What's going on? What down is it? The whole, am I breathing too heavy? Am I running too fast? Because if that's the case, they're not going to play him. Like, he's got to make that all slow down to where, I got it. To be, like, in that huddle or in the room with Dayball, what Dayball gives you, and you're able to go, back and forth. I got it. Easy peasy. Piece of cake. Got it. Yeah.
Right. And to that point, I did ask a few players down here today, Michael Wenu in particular, how's it sound?
Yeah.
How's it sound with Drake Maye in the huddle? He said, no problem.
That's a good question.
No problem.
Yeah.
Those guys, he said they all are enunciating well. We're all getting the play call. It's all well communicated, so we understand what we have to do up at the line of scrimmage. I thought there were a couple of plays that ended up resulting in handoffs that impressed me just because it did look like there was some command at the line of scrimmage. Now, it's day one.
Yeah.
They're not doing advanced calculus out there right now. But they were spread out. There was one play early in the practice, 11 on 11. They're spread out. He motions the running back in, which we know, having watched Brady for many, many years, that can be a strong coverage indicator, man or zone sort of indicator, right? So if the running back is aligned out wide and you motion him in and nobody goes with him, they're probably playing zone. Okay, so he makes that sort of that sort of visual interpretation of what the defense is trying to do, and then he made a few calls at the line of scrimmage, it looked like. A couple of different hand signals. It ends up being a handoff that looks like it's a nothing play, but to see him be able to react in the moment like that before the snap, to me, is an encouraging sign.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.